In today's video, we're going to be specifically talking about my top 3 final expense lead types for face-to-face agents in the year 2022. Most likely, if you're watching this, you're an aspiring final expense agent or a current agent who is struggling to find good quality lead sources, and you're looking for some guidance on where to go and what type of leads to work to optimize your success at selling final expense face-to-face. And if that describes you, then you are at the right video. My name is David Duford. I own Duford Insurance Group, where I train and recruit agents nationally to sell final expense and Medicare face-to-face and over the phone. If you are interested in learning more, go to davidduford.com/FAQ to learn more about how my agency works. Thanks for watching. So my favorite source of leads, which has always been the case and continues to be, but has had some issues as of late, are final expense direct mail leads for face-to-face agents. So what is a direct mail type of lead? So direct mail is where you buy leads from a lead house. You don't actually mail anything physically. You hire a lead house that specializes in the final expense space to then send out mail with what's called a detachable business reply card that the client fills out, walks back to the mailbox, and mails off in lieu of receiving information, which of course is us calling them in a future date, to then get more info about the final expense program that they requested. The nice thing about final expense direct mail leads is the high intent and the high recall rate of the prospect remembering and still having interest in the final expense product at a future date. Unlike a lot of the other lead sources out there, if you use a final expense direct mail lead, people remember it more often. They know what it's about because they've seen the same card a bunch of times and have thrown away, but something now has happened in their life that has caused them to be concerned. And the physical aspect of actually mailing it back means that client is that much more interested. They probably talked to their spouse about it before walking it physically to the mailbox. They signed their name to it. They read it. They could have thrown it out at any point along the way, but they voluntarily put it back in the mailbox, which means the type of quality that you get from a direct mail final expense piece tends to be much higher than the other face-to-face options that are out there. So what are some of the drawbacks then for face-to-face final expense direct mail leads? Well, the biggest one, I believe, is diminishing response rates. So in most markets, the final expense direct mail lead is very popular. And the more that agents drop mail with different mail houses, the more saturated the pool of prospects become with these mailers. And when Mildred's finally deciding to send one of these cards back to look at buying a life insurance policy, she may not send back yours because she's getting a much more higher volume of these leads than she ever has before. Again, with more leads in circulation per week, the more likely that yours isn't going to be sent because the odds of that happening are much lower. What this has translated into is a lower response rate in many markets, thus driving price points higher for direct mail. So what's the solution? On one hand, you may have to accept, if you do a per 1,000 mailer drop, a higher average cost point, depending on the market. If it is a saturated market, it could be well above $40 to $45 a lead on average. Or you can look at buying leads from a fixed price direct mail lead vendor like what we do at Duford Insurance Group for agents and our agency only. And many times we can get those prices fixed in the low to mid 30s. What that provides you too as well is a sense of security that if for some reason response rates are terrible, you're not paying out of pocket for that much higher average price point because only a few cards came back, driving that average cost well above $40, $50 a lead. So my second favorite option for face-to-face final expense agents working leads are Facebook-generated final expense leads. So the nice thing about Facebook final expense leads, unlike direct mail, is that Facebook leads come quickly. In a matter of days, you can have a full supply of leads ready to go work, whereas with direct mail, in many cases, especially if you're doing fresh and exclusive leads, which you should, you're only going to get back your leads after 4 to 5 weeks of consistent weekly investment. Whereas with Facebook leads, you get them within a couple of days. Thus, it's easier to get to work faster, and you're not tying nearly as much of your money up in leads with direct mail as not with Facebook. So you're spending money at a lot quicker pace, and thus not tying up a lot of your bankroll in the Facebook leads. So what's the drawback then to Facebook leads? There's a couple of things that, for me personally, ranks Facebook leads lower than direct mail. First of all, is there's a much higher level of saturation and interest in agents buying a Facebook or digital type of lead than there are with direct mail, simply because of the cost savings. And so what happens is that there's a lot more activity towards those prospects. And in recent years, I've seen a doubling of the price for a final expense Facebook lead. It used to be several years ago, maybe in the late 2010s, you could get a face-to-face lead for $15 to $20, and now we're seeing it closer to $25 to $30 a lead. The other thing that Facebook is more well known for than direct mail is that Facebook actively retargets people who express a given behavior of clicking on certain ads. So what happens is when your prospect clicks on a Facebook burial insurance ad, Facebook sees that and then shows more burial insurance ads to that particular prospect. A person who clicks on an ad is likely to click on another ad. That's a behavior trait that is well understood in the marketing world. So it makes sense that Facebook displays more ads that are similar because clicks is what pays Facebook's bills. But at the end of the day, for the agent, that means that our client is in much more competition to be had and generate leads for than if we did some other kind of lead. So the outcome is this: you have to work your Facebook leads a lot faster because the shelf life of a Facebook lead, unlike direct mail, is a lot shorter. So you got to work those Facebook leads that much faster. Another issue with Facebook leads is that because the leads are generally generated in a radius, you can have leads all over the place. So if you work in a large metro environment where there's a lot of traffic and a lot of drive time, even between the south and the north side of town, the leads can be spread out anywhere, and it's really hard to keep a tight consolidation geographically like you would more easily with direct mail. With that said, Facebook leads definitely work. You want to make sure you work with good vendors. I've had videos out there talking about the drawbacks in a big way about Facebook leads, but if you find good vendors like what we work with at DeFord Insurance Group, and you buy enough of those leads, you're likely going to do just fine working Facebook leads on a face-to-face basis. I would also ask you to consider, especially if you've been doing this business for a while and have shown evidence of success, to consider doing your own self-generated Facebook leads. That is a great way to reduce that price down from the $25 to $30 range with many of the options out there to the $10 to $15 range if you know what you're doing, know how to set up a system, and you know how to tweak and monitor your ads so that they provide a quality lead at a decent price. My third favorite option for generating final expense leads is actually virtually free, and it's utilizing seminar marketing. So what is seminar marketing? Well, the strategy I teach my agents is we go into senior living facilities and senior activity centers, and sometimes small churches as well, and do an informative talk for about 10 to 15 minutes on how to prepare adequately for final expenses. Many times 5, 10, 15 people show up, and from those 15 people, we generate a handful of leads. And on average, most of my agents are writing 1 to 2 policies per seminar, some a lot more, some obviously you're going to snake eyes too. I certainly have when I did seminars. But these are a great way to get started because, simply put, seminar marketing doesn't require as much money to get started. All you need is $30 or $40 to buy a gift card to draw and give away for attendees, to buy donuts and drinks. And from there, if you get a couple of sales, the return on investment is tremendously high. And I like using seminar marketing chiefly to generate a bankroll for the agent to get them started, and then to use that bankroll to reinvest into either Facebook leads or ideally a direct mail lead on a face-to-face sales basis. Again, agents that work for DeFord Insurance Group have access to my full seminar marketing mastery program. We teach you A to Z on how to find these seminar marketing opportunities, and we've got agents right now actively doing it. It works wonderfully well and is a great way to get started if you're cash strapped. So those are my top 3 favorite final expense face-to-face leads for agents that want to pursue the traditional market of selling in person with prospects. Did I leave any leads out that you think are worth mentioning? If you think so, please feel free to throw them into the chat, along with any other comments that you'd like to put. Thank you so much for watching as always, and we will see you later. Goodbye.